Red Dead Redemption 2 is official, and while console gamers rejoice at the news of a sequel to Rockstar's 2010 hit, PC players may be left out in the cold again with no news from Take-Two on a PC port. If you missed out on the gunslinging fun the first time around because you were shackled to your PC, couldn't get your hands on a console, or were simply too young to play an 18-rated game about a reformed outlaw running around killing people and hunting buffalo to extinction, then have we got the list of games for you. Get a taste of the Wild West with 9 games to play if you want Red Dead 2 on PC. Hip-hop meets spaghetti western in this platformer that can get rather punishing at times. Armed with a throwing knife, a gun, and your trusty duck, your cigar-smoking anti-hero sets out to bring back the stolen luck charms of the town of Clover Creek. For a fee, of course. You've got to keep Duckbridge in the lifestyle to which he's become accustomed somehow. Tracking down the bandits is far from easy going, and the luck mechanic can either help you out or hinder you. Severely hinder. Honestly, it's just verging on murder and sabotage at some points. Collecting luck from felled bandits and deranged wildlife to replenish your reserves will have you feeling like you're playing a 2D Red Dead Redemption, where everyone and everything seems out to get you. It's not called the Wild West for nothing. Dodging collapsing water towers, rabid animal attacks, and even bullets is all good fun. But collect the vinyl as you go, and you can take a break from all the dusty ponchos, 5 o'clock shadows and tumbleweed, and enjoy a showcase of hip-hop music in the underground record store, just like a real American cowboy. If you're a fan of space western Firefly, I mean, who isn't? The cancellation of that show was a travesty. Then you'll bloody love Exoplanet First Contact. An early access title on Steam, the single-player action RPG drops you in the middle of a new gold rush on the planet Catharsis, where hero Jack Sharp is stranded after a contract goes sideways. A starship captain turned bounty hunter, you can take on jobs and forge a reputation for yourself as you see fit, forage for supplies, and craft your own weapons. So it's more of an RPG than Red Dead, but you'll get your fix. What's more, you can choose to align yourself with the locals struggling under the corporate boot of oppression, or pick the wise choice and live as a mercenary allied with big oil, or big anti-gravium in this case. Ripples from your actions will affect the open world, something John Marston didn't have to worry too much about, aside from the bit about him being responsible for the extinction of an entire species. If Red Dead were a space RPG, it would be close to this. A Wild West mod for the Source engine, Fistful of Frags is a free-to-play multiplayer Steam game. You won't find any loot boxes or microtransactions waiting to pop out from behind a cactus here. When they say free, they mean it. Red Dead's multiplayer has less structure than Fistful of Frags, dropping players into free roam mode where they can form posses and mosey from town to town looking for trouble. Or to start some. With 5 multiplayer modes, dual-wielding, melee, and historically accurate weapons like the Colt Navy and Schofield, Fistful of Frags has much more going on when it comes to the usual trappings of multiplayer. And if you miss indulging in a tipple that would put hair on the chest of a woolly mammoth, Fistful of Frags will also let you get absolutely sozzled while brandishing a firearm. You can drink to your heart's content as long as you find a jug full of whiskey, and while it's not quite as refined as rocking up to a bar in a snazzy suit like Mr. Marston, it'll put enough fire in your belly to get you in a fighting spirit. Hard West has more in common with Red Dead Redemption's Undead Nightmare DLC than the game's main campaign, bringing a touch of the supernatural into the mix.
It was as if every animal on the trail was spooked by some evil force.
We follow a wronged man on his quest for vengeance as he works his way down his personal hit list after making a deal with the devil and springing back to life. A bit far-fetched in the world of the Old West perhaps, but a colourful story nonetheless that bears a passing resemblance to Marston's mission of tracking down the members of his old gang. Better yet, this could have been Marston's story after, spoiler alert, he was killed by the lawmen at the end of his game. If the devil existed in Rockstar's universe and was open to making deals with cowboys, that is. Borrowing mechanics from XCOM, the turn-based gameplay is drastically different to the third-person action of Red Dead, but if you enjoy the slightly more whimsical storytelling of Undead Nightmare, Hard West will be right up your dark, spooky alley. How can a post-apocalyptic game set in the future that's got nothing to do with cowboys be on this list, I hear you ask? In what I'm sure is a completely polite and respectful manner. Because I said so, that's why. And if we can go to space for an entry, there's no reason we can't skip ahead into the future on Earth. The dry expanses of New Vegas, the factions warring for control, the grueling journey towards revenge and redemption. Fallout New Vegas has it all. So what if there's a shortage of cowboy hats and boots? Traversing the Mojave Desert with a score to settle, it's as cowboy as it gets.
Howdy, partner! Might I say you're looking fit as a fiddle?
This one is kind of a cop-out, but if you haven't played Red Dead Redemption, you really should. Buy an old console or grab an Xbox One now that the title has joined a lineup of backwards compatible games in the Xbox library. Reformed outlaw John Marston is blackmailed into hunting down his old posse in exchange for living in peace with his family. Being a Rockstar game, I'm sure you can imagine how smoothly that pans out for him. The game features a day and night cycle, dynamic weather, and random events, all set against a sprawling backdrop of the American frontier at the tail end of the American Old West. The Industrial Revolution won out, and Marston is a relic of a bygone era, which becomes all the more apparent as you progress through the story. It's not as depressing as it sounds, but you'd better prepare yourself for that ending is all I'm saying. And remember, it's not over until the credits roll. Another dead family, another reason to saddle up and move out to get payback, yada yada yada. You know the drill by now. A pixelated mosaic, Westerado double-barreled holds up better than Red Dead to the old eyeballs, and gives us an open world where the consequences of your actions very much matter. Part Western, part detective story, the villain of the piece is randomised on each playthrough, so you'll have to ferret around for clues by talking to and interrogating the locals. Think of it as a particularly violent take on where in the world is Carmen Sandiego. When you think you've cornered the scumbag who murdered your family, you can draw your gun and make your accusations. A Western whodunit, you can invest time in the side quests if the campaign is hurtling towards completion a little too fast for your liking. It's good for a dabble into the genre and won't suck up too much of your time. Gun was a great game that may have flown under the radar for you when it released back in 2005. Developed by Neversoft and published by Activision, the game had a more than decent cast, including Hellboy's Ron Perlman and The Expanse's Thomas Jane. The story is another bummer of murdered family members and quests for truth, so get ready for that. It was the Red Dead Redemption before Red Dead Redemption was a thing, and has features like hunting, card games, and bounty hunting that you can indulge in on your path of retribution. At over a decade old, don't expect too much from the title, but if you want a Western fix with a great story and the acting chops to support it, Gun is the game for you. At last, a game that isn't all doom and gloom. West of Loathing is a comedy RPG that showers you with XP for pretty much everything you do. There's no dead parents, no murdered kids, it's all rainbows and sunshine and silly quests compared to the other entries on the list. While the turn-based combat can get a bit samey after a while, the world and the stories within it are far from shallow. The game may be text-heavy, but the writing is clever and witty, so unless you have an insurmountable aversion to the written word, you'll find yourself chuckling through paragraphs of texts like a little lunatic. Don't let the art style fool you. West of Loathing has a whole lot more substance than those little stick figure cowherders would make you think. Red Dead Redemption was a classic, and it's a mighty shame the game never made it to PC. The sequel is coming to consoles in spring 2018, and while there's no news of a PC port right now, hopefully our list of Western-themed games will scratch the itch until such a thing is announced. If it's announced. We'll just keep our fingers crossed until then. Let us know if you've got any suggestions of your own to add, like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more weekly content. Thanks for watching.